is a creative wellness movement and home that seeks to empower artists of color through creative therapy by beautifully blending our ancient Sudanese and Kurdish heritage with the healing art forms of music, design, literature, scent alchemy, and bodywork. Along with being women of color, alchemists, and wellness practitioners, we are artists. In combining our spiritual and wellness experience with our artistry, we are able to hold space, empower, and support other artists in creative, inspiring, and impactful ways. Welcome to Haremesque.
Hello.
Hello. We're back.
We are back.
We are back. Haremesque, Azza and Lana, back to talk to you about, what are we talking about today?
Can you guess? Probably not. We are talking about romantic relationships. It's such an overdone topic, but it's the best and everyone wants to hear about it. And why am I saying that? We're not even going to delete this, but I don't know why I said that. That was so corny. That's not why we're talking about it. We are talking about romantic relationships because I came up with the idea that anytime we're triggered by something, maybe, because we end up talking for hours about it, maybe we should start recording, which we did. Not sure if we're going to use whatever we recorded before. We may or may not. It might be part of this podcast. We'll see. If you're a patron, you will indeed be able to listen to it because that will be exclusive material that will run by you. So if you'd like to be a patron,
yes,
shameless plug,
head over
to our Patreon page, which we will link below.
Yeah, you can also just search for Haremesque and the Patreon on the Patreon website, but we'll link it for sure.
But yeah, so we were going to our topic was going to be about failure, which we for sure will do that at some point, but we were talking about relationships, and I was like, let's just record this because this is clearly where the energy is at right now, and we're inspired, so.
Also, it's where most of my triggers come up. I don't know about maybe everyone's.
You do have a lot. I think
everyone's
triggers. I mean, what did you say? What was that quote?
I remembered this saying. I don't know where I heard it, but of course you're going to be triggered in relationship. You both had childhoods, because when we're in relationship, when we're triggered, that's usually, if not almost always, I want to say, coming from a childhood wound. Mm-hmm. So that's
all the tantrums and things.
Yeah, and I think because we know this, we learn most of our patterns and programs between the ages of 0 to 7, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's when things get imprinted, and then we'll just keep running them.
Right. It's almost like we sweep them under the rug unknowingly, and they just. Why the hell do they pop up so strong in romantic relationships?
I know.
Is it because we're kind of forced to be vulnerable, even if we're trying to hide it?
Yeah, I think it does. But even if you're trying to hide it,
you can't.
It pushes you into these corners.
Especially if you're being intimate. Like if you're having sex and you're sharing very, very close space with someone, like you can't hide.
No.
Even if you think you're hiding something, like it's gonna come out, and it might not be clear what's happening, which is why I think clash. People clash and get into these arguments and do all the crazy things that we do. Crazy love.
Throw plates around the room.
Is that what you do?
Actually done that, yes.
I don't think I've ever thrown a plate, but I have broken my curling iron and a electric toothbrush.
Right, yeah, it drives you.
Have I broken anything else? I don't typically get that crazy. But I definitely have. I used to think that was sexy. I used to think that, like, oh, yeah, I want a man that's so passionate.
Because it's the passion thing.
Yeah, and then he'll punch a wall, like a hole in the wall.
Oh,
like,
my
that's
God.
not...
In the name of love.
Yeah, like,
no.
What? Well, I used to be really dark, and I used to just be like, that's not... If you don't have that, it's not love.
Right.
What kind of twisted ass, like...
Yeah.
Needless to say, I don't believe in that anymore, and that is not what I desire.
And I don't throw plates.
But I want real, like, honesty, transparency, and that will come with disagreements. That's inevitable.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And your stuff is gonna come up. That's the whole Actually,
which is
I believe
great.
that's the whole purpose of relationship.
I'm all about that.
Yeah, the whole purpose of relationship is that the shit comes up, and it's how you deal with it. With the other person, and like. That's the best way to heal, that's the best way to expand and grow is to have the shit come up and to really look at it and do the self-work. It's not easy. Because from my experience, and we were talking earlier
it's uncomfortable.
It's so uncomfortable, and we were talking earlier about wearing masks. So I have worn so many masks within intimate relationships, but we were talking about it in relation to like open versus monogamous relationships, and how you have to really,
oh my God,
know yourself in an open situation.
You have to know yourself, period. In life.
Yeah, absolutely.
In life. But then if you're deciding to be in, I don't even like calling it a non-conventional, but it is, because the conventional relationship is the monogamous relationship. So if you're deciding to open, quote unquote, open your relationship, and not have like these labels placed on you, fucking have to know yourself.
Wow, man.
You really, really, you have to be dedicated to doing self-work.
Yeah.
If you're not, it's going to be drama.
It's gonna be dramatic.
And all your shit is going to really come the fuck up.
My God.
Which is great, but if you're not ready, it's going to feel like a tornado. Yeah. And it's gonna hurt, and it's going to just take you on a ride, which can be fun if you're super into toxic drama. I mean, I feel like I'm speaking as someone who's been in open relationships. So, if you're not ready, good luck. Good luck. That's all I gotta say. But do you want to talk about your experience?
Oh yes, yeah. Because we came to the conclusion that I think it's really important to be dancing the same dance with your partner. So it can be like
having
both
the same core values.
Yeah,
if
having
you don't have the same core values,
it's gonna be challenging. Even
if you're in a monogamous relationship,
you're
gonna run into issues. But
so I think it's you're both dancing the same dance, and I think I got into a situation where I was dancing, like, I don't know, the tango.
And he was doing the cha-cha.
He was doing the cha-cha. Like, literally, those vibes are not, if you saw it on the dance floor, that would be a disaster. Like,
Or not.
Actually,
cool.
Oh, and that's funny because I brought it to him. You know, I said, you know, we're dancing 2 different dances. And like, I think I even said, like, I'm doing whatever dance form. He's doing another dance. He's like, oh yeah, but that could be cool. I do get that.
Well, it could be cool if you're on the same page. If you're like, if it's a personality thing. But the core values
have to be similar.
You both have to be dancing. I think maybe what you're saying is someone's dancing and the other person's swimming.
It's like on the,
And they're like surfing in the ocean. And you're like, I want to dance without a surfboard.
Yeah.
And they're like, good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they're like, yeah, come dance.
Yeah.
Come dance. Come surf with me. But like dance without a surfboard and you're like, I can't fucking do that. It's impossible.
Oh my God. But yeah, exactly.
But you can do different dances.
You can do.
Because you're dancing. And I think the dance is the core value. So it's like, pick what your core value is, whether it's surfing, whether it's dancing, whether it's flying, singing, skipping, sleeping, whatever.
You're on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got into a situation a few years ago where I really thought I knew myself, but I just was at a stage in my life where I probably needed to go deeper on that journey. And lo and behold, the universe sends me this, character. I want to say beautiful character. And I was, immediately taken and attracted and in it. All of a sudden I'm in it. It's like the wave has taken you and you can't, you're like on the wave and you can't pull back. You can't like swim off. You can't swim out of the ocean. You're like in the turbulence of it already. Like from day dot, it was like that, which I now see as a red flag. If I were to get into that situation where like from day one it's like a whirlwind and it's like fantastical and you're like riding the wave immediately, I probably would like be more cautious. But anyway, at the time it was like fantasy and magical to me. But the thing is that he was open or poly, and I didn't know what I wanted, which is an issue. Be okay to say it. And I was monogamous, and that was who I am. But no, I was kind of still very explorative. But I think because I didn't know really what I wanted and who I was, I found myself really trying to fit into his box and him into mine as well. Because we loved each other. I mean, we loved each other deeply, and we were trying to make something work, but it was forcing something to work where I had so much discomfort, and I would say I'm okay with things, but really I wasn't, because I wasn't that connected to my truth.
Right.
And I wasn't connected with, who I am, or, what my truth is. So it was like saying things I didn't necessarily really mean, like, oh, it's okay, yes, this is fine. But it really wasn't, because then my shit would come up and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm actually a really jealous, possessive person. But I wouldn't deal with that. So I'd wear mask over mask because I'm trying to fit into this thing, then more masks. Then before you know it, this person doesn't even really know you anymore because you're like wearing about 500 masks.
And then you're blowing up on them because you're holding everything in,
right?
And then your body's like, I can't hold this anymore.
Because one fine day it does decide to blow up.
And then they're like, what's going on?
Yeah. So
and then you have makeup sex.
Then
you do it all over again.
Do you know how many times did that happen? So exactly the cycle of like, and what is that? Like I feel like for me that's just all the worthiness, not enough stuff. Like, this. It's like choosing to still cycle in something that is toxic. Because why? Because
well, you don't really think it's toxic at the time. I mean, I like any toxic situation had been in, I just made excuses.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and then I'd make it about me. Like, I was like, I would blame, and then I'd also then be like, I'm so sorry. I'm just whatever. I mean, it just really depended on the situation and how I was feeling at the time. But I thought that's what relationships were supposed to be.
Yeah.
And, to a certain degree, I guess, they're not supposed to be anything. Like, that's part of the process. But for me, I didn't realize how much it was affecting me in a very negative way.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we don't know. No. Like, maybe intuitively, if you are an intuitive person, like, you feel something's off.
Yeah.
The resistance, but you don't know what that is.
Mm. And sometimes I think your intuitive wisdom keeps you on the journey just long enough for the exact lessons you need, right? Because if I look back, I would definitely be like, oh yeah, I should have left that situation like a whole year before it actually ended. Yeah. But somehow we do stay in things because we're...
Still interesting.
It's still interesting because there's still a hell of a lot of wisdom to be mined for both of you, I think. And so... But yeah, knowing when to end a situation is another lesson. And knowing when to put that boundary... And honouring that boundary. Do you know how many boundaries I put, but I didn't honour them? Like, okay, I just set this boundary, but come in.
Okay, so what about when you are setting a boundary, but it's not necessarily healthy? For example, or like you think you're setting a boundary for the right reasons, but in reality, you're actually... protesting or punishing the person.
Right.
And so I did this. I'm asking because I'm basically asking for myself. I'm not asking for myself because I know what I was doing then was 100% protest behavior and not it was setting a boundary, but it was coming from a place of jealousy and control. And so I was in an open relationship. And I had told my partner that I didn't want to set rules for the relationship and that I wanted to observe. And for me, it was coming from a place of like, I choose this relationship. I'm choosing this person. I don't need rules. And I 100% believe in that to this day. Like, I don't think that we should have to have labels. You're making a choice. And as long as you and your partner or partners have the same core values, that's all. Like, that's really what you need. That's the foundation you need to grow together. And it doesn't mean that you're gonna disagree, what have you. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So I was young and naive and thinking like, we have the same core values, even though that wasn't even in my mind, but that's just what I assumed. We're together, we have to, right? And no, we didn't. So, my partner would do something that annoyed me, that irritated me, and I would maybe try to have a conversation, and maybe we would have conversations, or maybe the conversations wouldn't go the way that I wanted, or, whatever. And so what ended up happening was I got tired of having the conversations. Yeah. So rather than being like, I'm tired of having these conversations, I just didn't say anything. And then I was like, I'm going to take space. And so then he'd want to see me, and I'd be like, yeah, no, I think I need to take space. And I would be honest about it. Like, I need to take space because I need to, like, check in with myself and see what's happening. And so then he would be like, well, okay, well, I want to see someone. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make me feel comfortable, but I don't want to see you either. So I'm like basically trying to control the situation. Like, I'm not going to see you, but you can't see anybody, right? But I was like, but whatever. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But if you do decide to do this thing, I can't see you tomorrow. Yeah. And so it didn't feel good. No. But for me, I was just kind of like, let me, like, that was protest behavior. Yeah. That was a tantrum. It was a boundary. But, and I guess sometimes boundaries don't feel good. Yeah. But I know now, looking back, that for sure I was trying to control the situation. Or what it was is I just really needed someone, and I wanted someone that had the same core values as I did. Exactly. And I didn't know how to communicate that. Right. So I just didn't. Yeah. I just set a boundary, and I did the best that I could. Yeah. Like, I'm being nice to my manipulative, tantrum old self. But yeah, no, I definitely had to take accountability, though. Like, when we were talking, I was just like, girl, Azza, you were, you weren't all that your exes cracked you out to be at times. Like, sometimes you were pretty good at being manipulative.
Controlling and stuff. Yeah.
But it was, jealousy and fear and all those things. And going back to what you were saying, like, being in certain relationships and trying to fit into this box, but that's not really what you wanted. And I didn't really know what I wanted.
It's not knowing really
I just wanted to be loved.
Yes.
That's really what it was. But I really wanted to love myself. And I didn't know how, and no one ever taught me that. It's always like, when are you getting, especially our cultures, like, we're women in our 30s and not married. Right. So they're like, what's going on with you? And as much as we might believe that we're like dismissing that and we're like rebelling, but there's these patterns and there's a fear, and then you're like, what's wrong with me? I need to be in a relationship. And I was a serial dater. I was constantly in relationships. So for me, it was just like, I can't let this fail. Yeah. Like, I have to be. And if it's going to end, it's not because of me. It's because of this other person. Yeah. And they're not capable of being with me. I'm like, whatever. My God.
I think, but what you touched on is true. Is, for me, I was constantly seeking validation from this relationship. And that's a lot. What I realized is that's a lot of pressure to put on someone. Because it's great when they're being nice to you, but what about when they're not? You're just some empty, like,
and
if you're...
something's wrong with you.
So, and then, like, and so what you said is actually just validating yourself, and again coming back to self-love and filling yourself up. At least, like, you can give from the overflow, and then you're not seeking from this person what you're not seeking from them to give you what you need. You're giving it to yourself first and foremost, or you're getting it from your spiritual practice. God, you're connecting with God, your inner self, you're a higher power. So you're leaning on that. You're leaning on, for me it would be God and, which is myself. So leaning on that rather than, and being codependent actually on that, because our souls do like to lean on something. But I think the issue comes when you lean on another person and you put so much pressure on that person. And I think I was seeking so much validation from this person, so much, when actually I just needed to come back to myself and validate my own self, and give my own self what I needed.
You also can't give if you're constantly wanting to be fed and validated. Yes. And you're wanting to take. Yes, you cannot. How can you give if what you're taking is from someone else? You need to fill your own cup. It's like on the airplane, put on your mask first before you help someone else. Like, you cannot give if you don't have anything. If you're empty, what are you giving? You're just taking at that point.
Especially if you're empty of your own love, like,
and life force,
and then you're just taking that you're taking that from someone else in this intimate space. That's gonna be a disaster. That's not gonna be a pretty journey or ending, as I have experienced.
No. What else were we talking about? We were talking about non-conventional relationships. I mean, we kind of touched on that already, but the idea of, I don't even know. I mean, we're all brought up, strangely enough, to believe. No, we're not all, actually. I think it's a Western thing. Yeah. To believe that monogamy is the only way to do things. But even if it's not monogamy, it's very patriarchal. So if it's not monogamy, it's polygamy, right? Like, we don't really talk about polyamory. We don't. I mean, we do more so now. You're hearing it more so now, but it's not new. But it's still, for whatever reason, taboo, and like this weird, like, people think you're strange. Yeah. If
you're polyamorous.
Yeah, but it's funny to me because it's like, that's kind of what we're doing anyway. anyway. Like, if you're not, like, in a committed relationship, that's what you're doing. Yeah. That's essentially what you're doing until you decide to commit. And then all these people, I'm not talking shit about monogamy because, you know, that's actually currently what I'm seeking. I don't know if it's exactly what I want, but, like, that is what I'm seeking. Right. But this is coming after, like, having been in open relationships. And I actually think that my idea of monogamy is very non-conventional. It's not like what we've been taught. Maybe it could be seen as open to other people. So maybe I shouldn't even define it. I don't think we should, but I am looking for a partner, not multiple partners, but I'm open to what that can be and grow into.
Right.
But I guess it's just like, there's no right or wrong way.
No.
But it's so confusing.
Yes.
I think it's so confusing. I've always been confused by, I mean, ever since I was a kid, and I don't know where this comes from, but, like, I remember, I don't know how old I was, telling my dad that I wanted to have 4 husbands, and he was laughing. And he asked me why, and I was like, because I want, like, a Chinese husband, and I want a Sudanese husband, and then I want wherever, a European or whatever. I don't even know exactly. And I'm like, where did I even get that from? But as I've grown up and I've been in relationships, I'm like, oh yeah, girl, this is not, like, you were smart. Like, I mean, I don't want that now. Hell no, that just seems like, what? I can't even. One person is like a million people in one body, but
getting to know one person.
I mean, maybe that's what I was. Maybe that's what I meant. I don't know, but yeah, no. I've always been a bit like, I've always been a rebel. So, like, if someone's like, do things this way, I'm like, I tried it, and I was just like, either I was super possessive and controlling and jealous, but acted like I was too cool for school, and it came out in other ways, or I cheated, and then I got to a point where in one of my relationships I was kind of like, if we don't do this, I will cheat on you, or we just need to break up.
Right.
I wanted to really try it, and I loved it. I learned a hell of a lot more about myself in general and in relationships and my partners that I've been in open relationships with, way more in open situations than I did when I was monogamous.
Yeah.
It was really, I think everyone should try it.
Yeah, I think everyone should try it. It definitely pushes you.
And if you're scared, you should really fucking try it, because that means that there are things that need to come out, up and out.
Up and
that
out.
you will learn.
Up and out.
Doing this. I mean, whatever. To each their own. You don't have to do it, and most people won't, because they're judgmental, and they think it's like, oh my god, if you're open, you're sleeping with everyone, and you're doing, you know, like, they have all these ideas of what. I mean, and that's religion, right? What's funny, it is and it isn't, because religion is pro-polygamy to a certain degree. Some religions. And I don't know, whatever. I don't want to talk about religion. I don't like talking about religion. But yeah, but then you have those that are like, no, you have to have, like, this sacred
one person situation.
Yeah. Which and then people cheat.
Yeah.
And they do all this dumb shit.
Yeah.
And it's almost as if they think cheating is better.
Right. Yes.
Isn't that strange? Like, they think cheating is better than being in an open situation where you're transparent and honest.
Yeah.
It's like society has taught us that transparency and honesty is dangerous. And, like, I don't know. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I think being in an open situation was definitely some of the most intense work I've ever done, and I've been in like some really intense situations. So to say that this, like, long extended, because I think it was over a period of.
Why do you think it was so
intense? Because I think it really brought up all the parts of myself that were really, really not able to come up in monogamous situations. So I was learning about new parts of myself that I kind of always knew were there, but they were just not being pushed in these very safe kind of monogamous situations because
safe.
They weren't, quote unquote safe, because none of my monogamous relationships were that safe. And I would say we're just as toxic in other ways. But I think so the open situation definitely brought up my communication issues.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's so important in these situations to just communicate a lot, about how you're feeling, and
you really have to be vulnerable.
Checking in, and constantly checking in, and you really have to be vulnerable. You have to be so super vulnerable, and it just put me in spaces that, I would just be a crying mess, like when it got really dark, it just did. And I just, but for some reason I never ran away from the situation for a good hot minute, because maybe something was telling me to keep on the journey, because it was a good thing that all my stuff was being brought up. But it was definitely intense. It was definitely me feeling like, oh my goodness, all my intimacy issues are coming up. All my feeling seen and being seen issues are coming up, because you're dealing with things together as well. So like, my stuff would come up and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm being seen, I'm really being seen.
Yeah. I think the issue with a lot of open relationships, and this is why they have a bad rep, and I don't think they should, but I think the reason why they do is because a lot of times the communication piece is so important.
Yeah.
One person wants it and the other person doesn't.
Exactly.
And that other person doesn't know how to communicate that. Or in some cases is manipulated into the situation. Yeah. And so then you have two people, back to the core values, very different core values, and are trying to make one person surfing, the other is dancing. Yeah. And I think that's why, and then people assume this is what an open relationship is, and they're terrible and they can never work. And it's like, that's not true. No relationship can work in that way, whether it's open or monogamous, whatever. Friendship, no relationship will work. No business partnership will work if you're not on the same page. And so I don't think it's a matter of like judging and, like, everyone has their personal preference, and that's totally okay. Yeah. But it's understanding and communicating, but especially if you're going to be open. I mean, I don't even like saying that, because even when you're monogamous, because someone's gonna cheat on your ass, or you're gonna cheat on somebody, or something stupid is gonna happen if you're not open and transparent and communicating and not on the same page. Because the same thing can happen if you're monogamous. You can jump into a relationship where, you might not necessarily want to be with such an assertive type of person, or whatever, or someone that's in a certain industry. You don't like someone's family, I don't know, whatever, like, or they don't like respect you, and you're not saying it, and you're just taking it, and things will eventually just. But anyways, I cut you off.
No, I think, what was I saying?
You like kind of signed up for something. You weren't being honest with yourself.
Exactly. I think it's, and I'm not. It's not being honest with yourself, but also not knowing what you want. So you don't know what you're to be honest with. Like, if you don't know yourself, it's like, it's not that you're not necessarily not being honest with yourself. You're just being so unclear. Yeah. And you're like, I like this person. So unclear. I really like this person. Yeah. You think that's not enough. I think that's what a lot of us think. It's like, oh my God, I'm in love. Do you know how many people I love? I would never ever date them. No. Like, just because you love someone does not mean you're compatible.
No. Yeah, compatibility is like, and the issue is like, most of us aren't taught these things, and we don't have good examples of what that looks like. Especially if you are someone who's like, I'm non-conventional and I do not want to be in a monogamous situation, but your parents were monogamous, or you just didn't have like a good example of relationships in general, you're teaching yourself.
Yeah.
And then you're with a whole ass other person or people
who's probably teaching him him or herself. Yeah.
Which is beautiful. You know, like, it's so beautiful, but just you have to be clear about who you are, what your intentions are, what you want, what you desire. Mm-hmm. Because there's so many layers in relationships, period. So you're going to be dealing with shit no matter what you choose. There's going to be so much shit there,
that's the point of it.
Fucking phenomenal. And like, I live for that shit. I'm a Libra. Like, relationships, mm-hmm. all parts of the relationships, like and like then my Scorpio rising is like, the shadows. I like want all of it, but I'm like, if we're not communicating, we're not on the same page, I'm not doing this with you. Like, this isn't, it's not fun anymore. Mm. Yeah.
So how do you know if you're on the same page as someone from the beginning?
Well, I don't know if you know from the beginning. Yeah. You have to communicate. I mean, I'm still learning.
We both are still learning. I would like to say this. I would like to say the realm of relationship is some of my, for probably all of us, it's just my deepest work. And especially intimate romantic relationships. Yeah. Deepest work, because my examples from my parents were, there was so much of an intimacy void between them, and so much like emotional unavailability between them. I learned that. So I'm like, you know, sometimes when I look back at some of my relationships, and there was so much emotional unavailability, I'm like, my child self is probably like, oh, that's love, or, you know, mm-hmm. that's
what a relationship is supposed to look like.
Right. That's
what you're seeking
in my subconscious.
In a partner.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
subconsciously, yeah. You're not like,
no, I'm not like, yes,
this is exactly. I need it. Yeah. You're unavailable. Come on in.
Right. And unfortunately, that's the same with abusive partnerships. Is if we've seen that at a very young age, and we learn that as a form of love, that's subconsciously, you know, that's what we know as love, then that's what, the thing that we have to kind of unbreak ourselves from, or break that pattern. But that whole thing of being in these situations that kind of mirrored my parents, I would say, mm-hmm. is a huge realization and a huge piece to work on, because those are the patterns that I definitely want to break out from. And I definitely want to break out from those patterns, because I don't want to pass this on. Like, I want this shit to stop here. I want those really, challenging patterns that definitely don't serve me to stop here, because I don't want to just, transgenerationally pass on patterns that are just not going to be for the greatest good of relating to one another.
Right.
And so, it's been my biggest pieces of work in life have been within intimate relationships, monogamous and open. But open was definitely
all the relationships.
All the relationships, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I'm definitely way more aware of the red flags than I was before. But I'm still, I mean, I'm speaking just from, like, specific situationships that I've currently been in, where I'm observing and I'm aware of certain things, but I'm like, for whatever reason, this is still interesting, but I don't want to be with this person. Why is it still interesting? And I'm able to now, like, remove myself, set a healthy boundary, not, have the protest behavior or punishment, and be like, okay, take a step back, look at yourself, and understand why. You're actually not attracted to these character traits, but why are you still attracted to this person? And I always like to see the higher self of anyone, but sometimes that person's not really, like, actually performing as their higher self, and you have to understand the difference. And it takes let's just be real. Like, not everyone is here. Where, like, not everyone is thinking this way. Not everyone wants to think in this type of way. They kind of just want to throw themselves, and this might, like, just go over their head. But for me, partnership is so important. So I am willing to take that step back. I'm not, like, before I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Passion. Great. This person. I'm in it. This is what relationships should be. And that was drama. Like, that was drama. And I was like, this isn't boring. I love it. Whereas now I'm like, I'm willing to be a bit more boring. Not that the relationship needs to be boring, but, like, to take it slow and understand if I'm really genuinely into this person. Or is it just, like, or am I into something else? Is it something, it's all me, you know, and I never put the blame on the other person. I'm just kind of like, this isn't working for me, or it is still interesting why. Now I have to take it extra slow because I don't really want to get myself in a situation. I'm looking for a serious relationship. I'm not playing around anymore. I did that, been there, done that. I had a fucking great time. My 20s were awesome. I'm good on that. Doesn't mean I don't want to have fun. I am having fun, but I don't want to jump into something that isn't for my best interest. And I don't want to waste anyone's time. I don't want to waste my time. I want to build with someone, and I've been doing that with my friends too. You know, like, it's, my friendships are just as important, and that's something that we've talked about before. Where, why is it that we place so much emphasis on these romantic relationships, but we don't do that with our friends? And some people do, but it's not what we're taught. And I'm like, well, I can romance my friends. I can be, I mean, our business partnership is definitely, like, it's a relationship. We deal with our relationship stuff. And, like, nurturing that. And it's good because we communicate, and that's been, like, our main thing is, like, okay, how can we communicate better? And I think that helps you in all the ways. I don't know why, I don't know how I got here, but I think, like, it's, how do you know?
How do you know? Yes. And you
just have to be mindful, and you have to really pay attention. And you have to really know yourself and learn to trust yourself. That's something that I didn't do. Like, I always, like, just ignored my intuition. I'm such a feeler, and I would feel things, but I would dismiss it. And I would make excuses, and I would do all of that shit. And it would get me into drama, which I don't regret at all. I had a great time. I'm blessed. I've had really incredible relationships with very amazing, dope-ass people. I love every single person that I've dated. And I have a good relationship with all of them. I think I do. I love them. I don't know if they love me. But, no, I have no resentment, and I'm like, I have no regrets. And I've been in some beautiful situations, and which is why I take it so seriously.
I think taking it seriously is a really, like, it's such an important thing to say, because I feel like for me what's happening is, whereas so many of my relationships were really me acting from my child self, I feel like I'm really coming into more adult relationships, even though children are more amazing than adults, but you know what I mean? It's coming into a more of a mature, like, more into my wisdom and operating from that place in relationships, operating from my womanhood, you know. And I think taking it slow, what you said earlier about taking it slow, is such a beautiful thing to, you know, to actually meet someone and become their friend first before getting romantically involved. I think that's such a, I've actually experienced that, and I think it's so beautiful, and there's no right or wrong, but it's such a beautiful thing
for you
to get to know someone. And
friendship is the most important thing.
Exactly.
Like, how can you be with someone that's not your friend?
Right.
I mean, you can, sure. If you're the type of person that's not looking for a deep connection, and you're relationships are very transactional, sure. And that's some people, if you know that about yourself, awesome. And like be with someone who's on the same page, great. But but if you're looking for something deeper, which I think most people are, friendship is so important.
Yeah.
Like I can't date someone that's not my friend. Well, for me personally,
yeah,
I can't date someone that's not my friend, and I can't date someone that I can't like collaborate with. I need to collaborate with my partner on all the things, not just romantically speaking, but like in my career. I'm an artist, so I want another artist that I'm inspired by and can have fun with, and because if they don't understand, I was telling you this, like to me, I see relationships like a business, not a business transaction, but like it's also your business partner.
Right.
And that's why the core values, I think, are important. And if you guys are running this business together, which is what you're doing, especially if you want to have children, you have to be like, that's a business partnership that needs to work, like, and in order for that to work, you really have to know each other, and it has to be beyond just I love you and you're hot and you're good in bed or whatever, like it's more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely more than that. And I guess unless you want to marry your boss and it is the business and you're just willing to let them like steer the ship,
show.
Which is fine. I think whatever. Everyone's different, So, like, there's no judgment. If it works for you and it makes you happy, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I think sometimes it's controversial, but for me, I actually love gender roles. Like, as, like, progressive as I am or whatever, blah, blah, blah bullshit. I do love gender roles. I love cooking for my partner, and I love being feminine. And, I mean, I'm such a tomboy as well, but, like, I love playing that role. I absolutely adore playing that role. It's fun for me. I enjoy it. Yeah. It makes me happy to do it, but I'm not going to do it because someone expects me to do it. I'm going to do it because I want to. And I'm attracted to that in a partner as well. I'm attracted to certain qualities and things. And as a woman, I love being in my womanhood.
Right, yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, do I make sense? But especially a Sudanese woman, and I think Sudanese women are so fucking badass when it comes to that. So that's something that I've grown up and seen in not only my mom, but the women in my family, and we just have these amazing just beauty rituals that are so empowering. And so for me, I'm just like, fuck yeah, I want to do that in a relationship, and I love to do that in a relationship, and nothing makes me, it turns me on to do that and to play that role. But not everyone is like that, and that's totally fine. It's totally okay, and I think it's important to know what those things are for you and what you're attracted to, and to make sure that your collaboration is just harmonious and you're flowing, you're just, you're riding the wave together.
Yeah. Doing life together, showing up for each other in this relationship.
Relationships are fun. I mean, they're deep and crazy and all that, but that can be fun, and the most important thing is to feel safe and to have someone that can just like hold you through that, and you can do the same for them.
Right, exactly.
I think that's a good place to end.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you have more to say.
No, I was going to say something. When you were talking about connection, I think relationships are about making that connection, and making that connection is it does take time and work, and because there are some people who are like, have been with their I've been with my partner for 30 years and he's never seen me without makeup. There are those kinds of
30 years.
Yeah, like I'm exaggerating that. I'm like, but I mean, like making that connection.
They always
so
feel
important.
like they have to perform.
Yeah.
If you feel like you have to perform, that person's not for you.
I think once your guard is down, once you're like really in your heart and it's open.
Yeah, and if that person doesn't love you when your guard is down, and they're trying to tell you how to be and what to do and how to dress and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Some dude or even woman is telling you to put on makeup. Get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Unless you love putting it on every day, which is totally fine. My mom puts on makeup every day. She looks great without it, but she just does it for herself. My dad doesn't care.
Yeah.
If you want to do it, go ahead and do it. But yeah, if that person's making you feel that you're not enough.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
That's not the business.
Yeah, and that does exist. But yeah, making the deep connection. We want to make a connection with you as well. So please reach out to us. And
that was cute.
We'd love to hear. We'd love to hear from you, your comments, your questions,
oh my God, I
your
want to
stories.
Hear relationship stories.
Yeah,
I'm very Libra
stories.
in that way, where I can talk about relationships all day. We'll probably have so many different episodes about different types of relationships because it's so. I love it. So we had to just cut off our ending, because we were blabbing forever and we couldn't find a way to edit it, and it just sounded so ridiculous. Sorry about that. But we're back just to say bye once again. And thank you.
We appreciate you.
We love you. We'll see you next time. We'll hear you why can I not end these things? I don't even know if I'm gonna edit this one this time. I deleted 5 of these, just FYI. We love you. Okay?
Yes.
That's just basically what I'm trying to say. I fucking love you. Thanks for listening. Hit us up. Ask us questions. Talk shit. Whatever.
Check out our Patreon page.
Make a donation. Don't make a donation.
Does not matter.
Listen. Don't listen. Whatever. Whatever you want to do. Either way, we love you. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.
Before we close, we just want to make it very clear that our Haremesque podcast and films are an artistic form of expression. Our conversation and visuals are free-flowing and are in no way trying to vilify anyone or anything. Thank you always for tuning in. We love you so, so much and look forward to seeing you at our next Haremesque experience.